will be amongst the foreign leaders paying their last respects to Kenya's late former president Mwai Kibaki at his state funeral in the Nyayo National Stadium in Nairobi today. Ramaphosa last week eulogized Kibaki as a crusader for democracy and Pan Africanism. Kibaki dominated Kenya's politics for close to 50 years, serving both in government and the opposition before ascending to presidency. His presidency is a mixed legacy of sorts, from a reformist economist and educationist to a man who squandered a chance to fight corruption and tribalism. For more on this, we will have Sarah Kimani joining us later on the show. But as we've been saying earlier, proceedings have already begun. There you see the cortege heading towards the stadium, and as soon as proceedings get underway in earnest, we'll take you through Mwai Kibaki, the third president of Kenya, and now from Nairobi we are joined in a bit by our colleague Sarah Kimani, just to tell us about the legacy of the son of the soil. Sarah, are you with us now?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, just speak to us about what is currently happening as footage of the cortege is coming through.
Yes, indeed, two events are happening at this moment. The cortege is leaving State House, Nairobi, and making its way to the Nyayo National Stadium, where the funeral service will take place. At the National Stadium now, citizens, Kenyans are still arriving. Dignitaries are also getting ready to take their seats, and choirs have been singing the whole morning. We expect that once the body gets here, it will make a lap of honor around the stadium, and then the funeral service will begin.
Sarah, just give us a sense of, I know different countries have different rules for state funerals. Just give us a sense of the rules surrounding this particular funeral.
Well, being a former head of state, we expect that first that foreign dignitaries will be invited for the state funeral, which is open to the public, this one and the one that will happen in his hometown of Othaya tomorrow. However, the interment is a private family affair, and so that will only be the Kenyan head of state as well as the family members who will attend that. In terms of what has been happening, there has been 9 days of national mourning. It depends on the level of the leaders. So for President Kibaki, just like President Moi, it has been 9 days of national mourning. All the flags in the country fly at half-mast, and during that time, leaders are also not allowed to fly flags on their vehicles. And then after that, the funeral service is held like what is going to happen now. We also expect that there will be a 19-gun salute in his honor. And this particular function, from the time his death is announced to the time he's buried, the whole function is taken over by the military. Remember, any head of state is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So even in this case, he is a former commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and so they are honoring him by taking over everything.
You were speaking earlier about another requirement being the attendance of heads of state from around the world. We hear that President Cyril Ramaphosa has already arrived. Tell us about this.
Yes, indeed. Heads of state from the region, the East African region, are here. Some of them are here. Some have sent either their foreign ministers, their prime ministers, but they are all represented here. Also here is President Cyril Ramaphosa. He arrived about 30 minutes ago, made his way to State House, Nairobi, and he will be coming down as part of the entourage that is escorting President Kibaki. Now, the two leaders were close friends, having worked to bring peace in South Sudan, having worked together to bring peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then when Kenya broke into chaos in 2007 after the disputed presidential election in which President Kibaki was announced winner, President Cyril Ramaphosa was among the first African leaders. Indeed, he was the first African leader to come to Kenya to try and see how he can intervene or how he can mediate to get President Kibaki and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to sit together and begin talking. And so he has developed a close relationship, not just with President Kibaki, but also with Kenya, because of the centrality and the power that the two countries hold. South Africa being the economic powerhouse in the Southern African region, and Kenya being an economic powerhouse in this side of the region, the East African region.
Sarah, how has the African Union expressed its condolences towards the Kibaki family?
Well, I've lost you, but what I would like to say is that Kenyans have taken this with a lot of sadness, with a lot of shock, even though they knew that President Kibaki was unwell, because he was revered, he was respected, and many of them felt that he was a leader who deserved more respect, and they revered him, so to say, and they loved him. And those who we have spoken to here, many of them are saying that President Kibaki was the best leader that they'll ever have. They're talking about economic empowerment. They're talking free primary education. They're talking about empowerment of women. They're talking about bringing in a new constitution that has been able to open up democracy in the country, has been able to give us freedom of the media, freedom of expression, freedom of association. And so the news of his death has actually drawn a lot of sadness here in the country. The stadium is full now. Initially it looked like it would be empty because there were rains, but Kenyans have turned out in their thousands to say goodbye.
Sarah, thank you so much. We'll continue to touch base with you as we look at developments leading to, for the funeral service and then leading to the burial of Kenya's third president, Mwai Kibaki.